one of the players tried the 1v1, the final boss, and accidentally got himself killed. So session's canceled while we wait for him to make a new character. Welcome.
Accidentally,
yes.
How does one accidentally get themselves killed when 1v1ing the final boss?
Sam, that's what we call callback.
Exactly. Welcome to another special part.
That's fine. I just want to know how it happened accidentally.
Accidentally. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry. This is part 2 of the 50th anniversary special that I'm going to just keep calling anniversary special, even though Josh hates it.
You do a lot of things that I hate.
You keep calling it 50th anniversary, and anniversary assumes a year. So you keep saying that we've been doing this for 50 years, not our 50th episode anniversary.
Imagine being 50 years old.
Oops.
I would finally have a body that feels like what it feels like to be me.
God damn it.
Drinking too much of the warp Kool-Aid. Sam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. You have no idea.
Someone that likes playing the psychic is sometimes you don't want to drink too much Kool-Aid. You just
You never want to drink too much Kool-Aid. It's always a bad idea, in fact.
Drink all the Kool-Aid. Just chug that shit down right now.
That's how you explode. Summon demon.
God, I wish that was a mechanic in Dark Tide. Yeah, you just accidentally that'd be funny as hell. Beast of Nurgle just spawns next to you and you're like, whoopsies.
You barrels of the warp and summon the Beast of Nurgle. Oh my god.
Dear Lord.
I would love that. I would love if that was a mechanic.
Holy
Like if you play on the
shit.
hardest difficulty and you perils hard enough, it's just like, congratulations, here's a boss fight. You're like, what?
Tiger, control your warp. Never.
Never.
For those listening, wonder what the fuck we're talking about. We've been playing Warhammer Dark Tide.
It's so fun.
Yes, very good.
It's simultaneously a very good and very bad game. Not gonna go.
Yeah.
Not gonna go
When
down
it
the
works,
rabbit
it
hole.
works.
Correct.
Yeah, when it doesn't crash on you every time you open the social screen.
Yeah.
The last patch they fixed a bunch of crashing problems, so you should be okay.
I fucking refuse. No. Because they said that last time. And for one whole day, I was like, oh, I opened the social screen and it didn't crash on me. And then I did it again and it crashed immediately. It was like, cool.
Yeah. But anywho's, so this is going to be part 2 of the Matt giant 3.5 year campaign that I really should have shortened like a mofo and didn't. That's 20 level campaign. I don't know. I haven't had a good title. My players, the reason Josh, I had the Sunny Philadelphia meme because that's what my players and I ended up calling the campaign.
I see.
We ended up calling It's Always Sunny in the setting name.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
But so if you haven't checked out the last episode, you might be missing some context. So go back and rewatch it. What are you doing here,
Mom?
We are your mom. Son,
Yes.
go to your room.
We have taken
open
the
the
role
computer.
of your parents.
That's right. Listen to that episode. And all the nonsense.
It's got kind of weird then. If that's
within
true,
the
this
first
is a
3
little
minutes of
weird.
an episode. We now have many children.
I just
Yes.
my brain auto-corrected the role of, we've taken your parents. They're ours now.
We've abducted your parents.
No, it's me, your mom. I've taken your parents. Wait, you're not my real mom? Be quiet now.
Sounds boy.
But before we start up, a few words from our sponsor, Josh. Hey, what's up, bud? What do you guys have?
Sponsor is us. Please just hit the fucking follow button. I beg of you. That's all I ask in life. That's all I want. I don't need a Christmas present. Just you hitting the follow button. Also, it's
Christmas is a little far away.
Yeah, it's a little far from Christmas. However, I'm a December baby, so if you get me a Christmas present, you also have to get me. So we're cool.
None of this double up bullshit.
God, I hate that.
Me and Isaiah have the same problem. So, what happened? I blacked out.
I don't.
You just enter a weird fucking fugue state, like
we became parents. After that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But just a quick, soft recap. Not of the whole fucking thing, but just like the last little.
No, whole thing. Just do
The
it
whole
again.
thing?
Just put us in
Same episode.
just put us in a
Just send it.
perpetual loop.
TLDR, guy who has no idea how to run D&D tries to run D&D and actually kind of successfully does so.
Kind of successfully. So I
Kind
mean,
of successfully, yeah.
yeah. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so like the last little bit, as I mentioned, knockoff Jafar, aka Kal-El the Vile, was the first major bad guy my players fought. They killed him. They, ran out of the building as his ritual ended, destroyed the whole keep. My players managed to, jump out before the building collapsed on top of them, and had the whole Ewok party celebrating with the rebels, and there you go. Everyone's happy.
Brett, put in the Star Wars music.
I want the kazoo version.
Oh.
Give me the old bagpipe version.
Wasn't the Wand of Orcus involved in some?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I forgot to there's a couple of things I actually wanted to not backtrack, but like say, because I missed it in the last episode. So the players found the wand, and through GM shenanigans, and also because I didn't want to give my players a fucking Wand of Orcus.
Understandable.
Yeah. The players, after retrieving like the wand from the cave, getting teleported, they met up with the cleric NPC, the Nurse Joy tiefling that I made.
Yes.
And because I made her a life cleric, she's like, "Oh, this is super against my god. Let me see if I can like talk to my deity and see if I can like find a ritual of how to like basically get rid of it." And then she did. The players didn't have to deal with it. And the players were like, "All right, neat, let's go kill the fucking necromancer now."
But why did they want the wand again, or was it just so the bad guys can't have it?
It was so Kal-El wanted it originally. That's why he sent them to the Caves of Chaos and all that shit.
Yeah.
My players went to retrieve it for him, and then immediately were like, "Yeah, we're not going to give it to him, right?" No, absolutely not.
Yeah. That's amazing.
They had their version of Old Bone Grinder. It's like, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely bring you the soul of a child." So we're definitely not bringing them the soul of a child, right? No, absolutely not. Refuse.
No.
Exactly. And then one thing I did forget to mention, and I should have mentioned this also last episode, but like while they were in the Caves of Chaos, I mentioned that one of the dungeons they went through was called the Dragon Hatchery. I don't remember if I said it or not, but this one I actually, again, stealing, big shtick of mine. I stole the whole dungeon from the Horde of the Dragon Queen. It's probably the best dungeon in that fucking module. And then I just changed out one or two of the bad guys. Creatures, I added a boss monster, added the Afridi bottle that I definitely should not have added.
Oh, that's right. You did do that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh god, the Afridi bottle. Yes. Uh-huh.
But one of the things I forgot to mention, this was right around the time at when the players got to the Dragon Hatchery. I remember being like, okay, I want to introduce the Dragon Cult. I kind of want them to be somewhat of an important bad guy later on in the campaign. If we get that far, I don't know. But one of the things I mentioned to my players is when they were fighting a lot of the Dragon Cultists is that the cultists would try, like my players originally, they're Dragon Cultists, they must worship Tiamat. No. Every time they fought against any of the cultists, they would hear, like whenever they'd say the god's name, it would come out as static white noise to them. My player's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, they say the god's name again, you just hear static. So my players were super confused, but they never really dug too into that. Matt, once again, stealing. Around that time as well, I was watching or listening to the Adventure Zone. And they had somewhat of a similar idea with a creature that originally its any memories of this thing was blocked out, and through D&D magic, anytime someone brought up this creature, said its name, wrote down any information, it would just come out as like white noise, nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's such a cool idea for like a bad guy, like for like D&D. I'm like, I want to do that. What if I did it with like Dragon God?
I just imagined your players find a letter or some shit that says the god's name on it, but instead of their name, just a bunch of that's what I just pictured in my head, which is that was a me thing. I'm adding that. I'm ad-libbing here, but that's what I thought.
Just like, what's this guy's name? Prinus.
Or a bunch of dick butts. Yeah.
Dick butt. Yeah, I should have done that.
Right? I'm just saying.
What's the fucking the SNL skit with Prince where it's like, oh yeah, who are you on this? It's like, oh, how do I spell your name? I was like, oh, you can't, because
that's fucking.
It's the symbol. That's why I'm the artist formerly known as Prince. I should be on the list.
It's the
like,
Muppets.
nope, sorry, bud.
It's the Muppet thing with the bear. I love that fucking skit.
Yep.
He's like, all right, wise guy. It's such a good fucking bit. God, I love the Muppets. So I wanted that idea, and this was also around the time that I started looking into older like Dungeons and Dragons books. One of the big ones, because I fucking love dragons, was the 3rd edition Dragonomicon. It had a lot of cool lore and magic items and ideas that I wanted to use. And one of them specifically is about this red dragon. I ended up using the symbol from that creature. It's like a red flaming dragon eye. This creature was called, oh god, was it Garrix or something? It was a big red dragon god, and it was partially responsible for, I guess, the spell plague back in the day, which I'm not 100% on exactly the spell plague, but it was like transitioning from either 2nd edition to 3rd edition or 3rd edition to 4th edition. Why Magic got fucked, because in every edition, when the rules for Magic change, there has to be some sort of like in-lore reason.
Yeah, I guess the spell plague was just some justification for like, oh no, all the spells go bad. Now we have to make new ones. Whoopsie.
Yeah, it was basically the Netherese were fighting this weird creature that could like absorb magic, or like they just ate magic. So they tried casting a 11th level spell, and then Mithril was like, LOL, no, or 13th level spell. So she just turned off all magic on Faerun for a while, which is why all the flying cities plummeted, and it lasted like 11 minutes or something like that, and the world just ended in 11 minutes.
A good time.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I liked the idea of this dragon. I wanted to change its names around. I didn't have a definite idea of what exactly I wanted to do, but I'm like, I want to do something with this. I'll make this the god, and eventually, as I continue down the road and keep thinking about it and writing it, I'll eventually like figure out what the fuck this dragon cult's deal is. But for now, I just kind of hinted like, anytime they met a cultist, like they just heard white noise anytime they mentioned the god's name. They had one time they met a former cultist, and they tried having the dude write down the god's name, and they would see him literally like write with a stick in dirt and nothing, just plain dirt. And they're like, bruh, they're like, write the name. And he's like, I did. Like, no, you didn't. There's nothing there. I'm looking with my eyes. It's just fucking, there's no words. Like, you guys are blind? Right there. What do you say?
Right there, forehead. Just look.
Yeah, and then they got super upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you gaslight, you got me the shit out of your players. It tends to happen.
Yeah, a little bit. But that was something that I wanted to say, because I forgot to mention the last game, and that'll hint towards somewhat of, I guess, partially of this next bit. Because after the whole Colorado stuff and setting up like all this, I felt a little more confident now as a DM. I'm like, okay, but I didn't really have a set campaign still. But like after that, I was like, let me just. And this is mostly where I think this is probably some of the most interesting part of my campaign came from, because a lot of it was me just throwing shit at the wall. Me being like, ooh, I found a cool monster, let me just throw it in there. Ooh, I found a cool map, let me just have my players do that. So I didn't really have I didn't have like a plot or an arc or anything. If anything, this would be like a mix of like a West March thing, where I asked my players what they wanted to do, they told me what they wanted to do, and I just make an adventure from there. Or I would just, make a random like encounter or mini adventure, and my players would be like, neat, loot. And they do that.
So basically you were just like, thing cool, and then throw in game. Yeah. And then afterward went, I don't know why this is here, but I put it.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, basically.
I I see why you have an easier time just stealing things.
Yeah, it's easy. It's fucking
You just
great.
go, thing cool. I don't need a reason for thing to work.
No, I mean, it's
Thing
generic
cool.
Fantasyland. If it's generic fantasy, I can like easily plot it in. And then I just, again, you warp it into your own thing, change up some stuff. There you go. Bada boom.
Is it like?
Literally, as I've been telling you for years.
It's not.
He has been telling you for years.
That doesn't
Don't
make
care, Josh. Just
that doesn't
throw
make
that
it
crack
true.
in.
You're lying to me,
I don't think he is. I think he's proof.
Isaiah. You're
I think
on
he's
my,
living
no,
proof here.
what?
He just
Isaiah, you're
do.
supposed to be on my side of this.
Bro, I literally put the grid from Tron in my setting. I don't know what to tell you. It's just there, my guy. I just changed some proper nouns around. It just is what it is.
That's not the same thing as what
I don't remember.
That's not.
I don't
what
remember. Was that-
Matt's doing?
I don't remember. Isaiah, was I the one that told you about the fucking T-Rex? Or did you find that on your? I don't
The
remember.
King of Feathers?
I remember I was there when the idea, the concept of the King of Feathers for your game, but I don't remember if I was the one
Oh,
who
no,
specifically
you're the one who
said-
sent me that buff to shit. Because I was like,
The
oh, I
very-
want to use this,
okay.
but it's not as good as I want it to be. You're like, oh, well, I just so happen to have a fucking CR20 version. I was like, I'll take your entire stock.
yeah.
So partially, yes, you were.
Partially. Okay, all right.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I
I'll-
told Isaiah. King of.
Maybe? I
I'm
honestly
pretty
don't
sure.
remember.
I was like, yeah, there's a T-Rex that shoots bees, and Isaiah was like, what the?
Yeah, 'cause-
You may have said, I think it was, you said there was a T-Rex that teleported, and I was like, that sounds amazing.
That's
Give it
it.
to me.
Yeah. God, I
feel like I
still
mentioned.
kind of. Yeah, it does. It does both. It teleports and
I know, but I feel
shoots
like
bees.
I definitely also brought up the shooting bee. That's
Maybe.
pretty integral.
I made it fucking summon winged serpents, so that didn't really.
Oh.
Look, I had the whole Quetzalcoatl thing going on, so I had to stick to a bit.
Yeah. And so this part, like after the Cal-Rel stuff, and because also watching a shit ton of Matt Colville videos and hyping up my players, I'm like, hey, I just backed the Follows and Strongholds book. I can't wait till it comes out. My players are like, oh shit, okay, can we do that? I'm like, yeah. Wait, there's no rules yet.
no.
What do I do?
What have I done?
And so after the Cal-Rel thing, and for helping the city of Whitestone, the people, the leaders, gave my players, they're like, hey, we rebuilt you this stronghold. We built it for you as thanks for saving us. But also you are, if we need you to help out, like with some shit, can we call on you? My players were like, maybe. Because my players were, some of them were borderline like chaotic, neutral, kind of like, I just do what I want. I don't know. They gave me a house, I guess. I don't really want to help them, but if they pay me.
Your
And, like, I
characters
think
are
only-
chaotic neutral is putting it too kind. Your characters are just they're just chaos gods with not the same level of power.
Yeah, they're just gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Also, this so they wanted the stronghold, and I was like, this idea after they got the stronghold, they're like, okay, cool. I found a map. I think I grabbed the Vox Machina castle map that they use. Like someone actually made one for virtual tabletops. So I just used that. I was like, oh, that's so sick. And then I did the thing that I actually got the idea from Acquisitions Incorporated, but then I found a Critical Role also did the same thing, where I had them hire NPC guards for the stronghold, and that they had like auditions and tryouts. And so I made like 10 different NPC stat blocks. And I'm like, all right, you guys get 5 hirelings. And so I had each one try them out. And this is where the birth of my player's favorite NPC, Jeff the Borat Tabaxi, came from.
Oh, I feel like I vaguely remember this being a thing.
Yeah. So
I remember Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
That comes later.
Oh,
I remember
does
that
it?
one.
It does.
Says it like it's so simple.
It is. So my players, as throughout the Cal-Rel bit, my players kept joking, being like, Matt, or after the Cal-Rel bit, like, and building up the stronghold and all this, my players kept joking. You're like, Matt, if we just say we want, like, because I'm like, oh, we'll start doing West March stuff. So just let me know what adventures and shit you want in the campaign. I'll just throw it in there. And so one of my players were like, Matt, we want a Tabaxi. We want a Tabaxi friend who sounds like Borat. It's not gonna happen. And they're like, Matt's not gonna do it. He'll never throw a Borat Tabaxi in our game. And then me, like, Grinch smiling, like, in the background.
Why did they have such an oddly specific request?
Yeah, that does seem like an oddly specific request.
I don't remember the context. It's been so long, but they just kept joking about it because they're like, if I ask Matt this ridiculous request, surely he'll not take it seriously.
At which point Matt went, haha, joke's on you. I'm an idiot.
Give me that ball. I'm running with it.
Give me that ball.
So they had a bunch of different people. Like, I actually have like some of the NPCs, and I had one dude who was like a UNT warlock edgelord dude. So my players were like, "Oh, we gotta hire him. Fucking edgelord, love this guy." Another one who was like a dragonborn monk that was from the same monastery as the shadow monk character in our party. Another one was just, you know, a gnome plumber. He was just he happened to be a druid who fought with a plunger. Sorry.
What?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Why?
I don't remember why. I don't know, because they made a joke.
Did plungers even exist back then? Like back in the day? I feel like no.
Did that, and now
I feel like those weren't a thing.
They were literally like, he's a druid. She can shape change. And then one of the other players said, he must be a great plumber. Hey, can you plumb? Which the druid's like, I can now. And so they're like, all right, insta hire. And they gave him, they're like, you don't need this druid focus anymore. Give me your staff. Here's a plunger. We're going to put an arcane focus on there. There you go. That's your new weapon.
I feel like my response to "Can you plumb?" would be, "What the fuck is plumbing?" Because I don't know if you know this, Matt. Plumbing's a pretty modern thing.
It's fine. It's Fantasyland. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Plumbing. It's all good.
I just like imagining. So, are you a plumber? The fuck is a plumber?
Yep. But then the final. And then the other guy I made that the players act. This was their other like favorite was. This is also kind of, again, Mordenkainen book came out, so I was also reading up a lot of Githyanki lore. So one of the guys was a Githyanki. And in the Forgotten Realms, how Githyanki normally get to the Forgotten Realms is they just fall from a portal in the sky.
Yeah, they just fucking plummet to Earth.
Yeah. And so he's like, listen, I just need a job to save up enough money to get back to Wild Space. I don't want to be here. And our players are like, he wore like, you know, the silver armor. He had the silver greatsword. And they're like, this guy is decked the fuck out. And he looks capable. I think. And he's really weird. I think we'll hire him. Just on those criteria.
I was waiting for you to say, we're going to take all the shit.
I think some of them thought about that.
I feel like your players very easily would have hired like a serial killer, like had a winning smile.
Yeah. If he could talk like Patrick Bateman, then fucking Patrick Bateman's like, you're hired. I like this guy.
Yeah, like your player's energy is fucking like, well, I mean, he's got a cool sword. He must be a good guy. Like that's the hiring process. Okay. I guess.
But then the last audition was, and I found this picture of this. It's probably now with the Leonin being out, probably would have been a Leonin, but this massive muscular tiger Tabaxi with this giant fuck off great axe and had like a bunch of like pirate gear decked on him, a bandit, like a bandana covering one eye, and he looked nasty. He looked sick, and all my players were like, oh shit. And then he fucking opened his mouth, was like, hello, my name is Jeff. I like you. I like fighting. And they're like, no, Matt, you didn't. No, Matt, it was a goof. We didn't. And then they loved him. They instantly fell in love with him.
No, Matt, it was a goof.
Wait, no, Matt, I was joking. No, what have we done? I hate it. I hate it here. God, I hate.
Instantly, you know, the meme of like, they picked him up and like, I only met Jeff 5 minutes ago, but I love him and I will kill any single person that harms him.
If anything happens to him, I will kill everyone in this room, including myself. I mean, oh god, I can just
Valid question.
I can just picture. I can picture it too. Just a giant, fucking yoked tiger man with a big ass axe, just being like, "What is happening? You want some tea?"
Yeah.
Like, oh, god.
My wife.
Hi. Like, are you married? No.
Like, Jeff, what you used to do in your previous life? I was a pirate. Very nice. We murdered and pillaged. No, like, wait, what? What was that last bit?
We murdered and pillaged. It was great.
It was a good time. Jeff like party.
Oh my god.
Stop. I can't.
Jeff like at the piracy.
I'm trying to do I'm trying to figure out a way to do the multiverse thing and bring him into my Strixhaven game. I've been thinking
my
so many different
goodness.
options.
Jeff, you got a favorite drink? I love the rum.
Why is the rum?
Black
gone?
Lord.
Oh, the rum. You know, big fan of the grog.
Where's
You know
the
what I
rum
mean?
go?
Oh my god, I can't. Oh, he's got like an eye patch too for no
Yeah, I got
reason.
the
Like
eye
his
patch and everything.
He's wearing an eye patch for no reason though, right? Like his other eye is fine. He just wears it to look cool.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so after that they had their guards and they had their house, and my players did a lot of time just fucking around the house because they're like, we have a new house now. Like, fuck, what else are we gonna do? Fuck it, let's just hang out in town. We just saved this place. This is our home now. Fuck it.
I really love. Hold on, I just need to take a moment on this one because I really love that your players were like, hey, you know, Matt, we need to hire some goons. Okay, and Matt conjures up a fucking smorgasbord of jackasses. Whereas in my game, my players went, we need goons. What do we do? Let's just abduct some people. I
mean, to be fair,
we
my players
didn't
did
abduct
that
them.
later on.
Much like
convinced
Conan,
them.
we hired them.
You coerced
and then
them
we brought them to
aggressively.
the orientation station with all of our nice PowerPoints, and then they work for us.
Yeah. Like, and now my players have, you know, a lizard man cooking pizzas and 2 jackal wares as waiters and a manager who's very distressed about the whole situation, but he
Wait,
doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah, I feel like you're downplaying it. We have a lizard kid, 2 jackal wares, an old man, a stray alley cat, a tiny robot, a gazer, and now 2 flumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did give you the.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like
and 4
pets and
griffins.
hirelings. And
Well, the griffins aren't like sentient; those are bronze statues.
I mean, we've been using them for deliveries, so
You activate the griffins; they're not just like you don't
fucking
just like
God.
have griffins around. They're magic items. It's a little different.
yeah, it's great. One of my favorite NPCs. Oh yeah, Joe also as I love Joe. I love the guy, but he has this bad. However, he has this bad habit when it's with video games or D&D, where and I feel like this is also probably because the game took 3.5 years is a long fucking time to play the same character. So he kept like every once in a while, he would ask to change characters.
He was the one who kept swapping.
Yeah.
Remember that.
So when he asked to swap, he played, and this is all during like this I'll just throw shit on the board and see what sticks era of my game. He's like, I want to play a bugbear barbarian.
Matt, you say that like you don't still do that.
Yes and no. I mean, now I have kind of like, thanks to the fucking Strixhaven book, I have somewhat of a blueprint.
You're not throwing shit at the wall so much as you're throwing shit at a small target on the wall. So smaller surface area.
Smaller surface area, yeah.
There's still a lot of
So like
throwing
now
going on, though.
I also think about shit, and now I'm like I want how do I want this? Like, is this gonna connect? Is it not? Is it just a little random? Maybe, now I think about that. Back then I was just like, look at funny dungeon throwing map.
Look at funny dungeon.
This is particularly what sold me on that bit.
Look at funny shit.
Yeah, I would do that shit. Just like I'm looking at one. I'm trying to look at because I took fucking notes. I actually have like what my players did during this time. One of them was that I mentioned this a while ago in the podcast. The whole mind flare underground like little lab.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
That was
remember this.
it was my players got hired by the city. They're like, hey, we've been noticing there's been a lot of disappearances in the city. Can you go out to these different like areas of the city and try and find like maybe ask around, maybe see what you can dig up. My players went to a tavern. They found out that the tavern and its residents were just oblexes, which were like these like mind flare ooze body snatcher type of creatures, and that the oblexes were kidnapping people, body snatching them, sending them out into the city to go bring back more people, and then cycle repeats. So my players, they broke into they went to the tavern. They discovered this. They started killing all the oblexes. Turns out there was a hidden lab under the tavern. They went in there. They solved an actual like puzzle that I made of where it's like a broken image of a mind flare face, and my players used the tokens on Roll20 to piece together and build the puzzle face of the mind flare. And then afterward, they went to the lab and they found an Oblex facility that this little mind flare was using and building and making the Oblexes. And then they had a boss fight and they killed it. And there you go. Like, all right, job well done. We saved the city.
Yes, I remember you mentioned them. It kind of sounds like when you started the what your campaign turned into after your players got this keep or whatever. It kind of sounds like this was the style of campaign you wanted to run in the beginning.
Probably, because before I had no idea what I was doing, so. And I think a lot of probably new players that they'll latch onto like whatever. So I, super hard like latch onto. All right, shit. What did Matt Colville do? All right, they did the tavern thing. They did the Dillian tomb. Fuck. What did they do next? Oh god, he had them fight Calorel in the city. Oh god. So I stuck to the blueprints of like the Dillian tomb bit, and the Caves of Chaos bit, and then Calorel in the city bit. And then I just kind of made up shit as I went along.
Real shit, I probably should have done that. Probably would have had far better pacing than I had if I had actually done that.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily. It didn't help that.
I mean,
fair enough.
I don't think the problem with the first bit was pacing. Maybe a little bit. Because it was mostly like I was, struggling new DM, learning the rules, trying to figure out shit. Watching a lot of like live plays, like Adventure Zone. I started to finally watch Critical Role at this point. What else? I think that was about maybe. I don't know if Chain of Acheron was even a thing yet.
It was shortly
after the Strongholds and Followers book came out, or launched. My timeline's a little funky. But yeah, the throw shit at the wall camp. I do think that it was some of the most enjoyable part of the campaign, or mostly because it was the least stressful for me, because I wasn't so worried about over preparing or over prepping and trying to make sure that the adventure was fun and a good time without really understanding how CR worked and how encounters work and how traps work, and I didn't memorize all the rules and shit towards the end of the campaign, when that shit mattered a little more and I actually was like really struggling, and I ended up burning the shit out of myself.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of wanted to do. You just.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah, now I know. What else? Oh, I did during this time too, after the Mind Flare Oblex stuff, my players I did a festival. I just found a bunch of like mini games and shit that that people made online from Reddit.
If I like it, the festival.
Yeah, the festival was cool, and yeah. And then I had them fight. One of the things I ended up doing with the festival, because like Forgotten Realms has their own lore on like Christmas time. Yeah. This is like a wintry like festival, and I recently just saw the whole thing where, I guess for Matt's campaign for Critical Role, they had this is before the show started. They had a thing where someone had a gem and it opened a portal to like the plane of ice. It summoned this like queen of ice, and she was like also a dragon. And the players had to go into the plane of ice and defeat her or whatever. She like froze half the town or whatever.
The fuck is this Sword Art Online shit?
Yeah, I don't know. So I was like, that sounds real cool. Let me just do that. But I also I wanted to change it because the big bad guy for Joe's campaign, the one that started before this one, his main bad guy was called the Ice King or the Frozen King. The Joe's campaign was around the world in 80 days. Bad guy, this Frozen King, was freezing the whole planet, and we were trying to stop him from doing so. By traveling these different like fantasy versions of Italy and Egypt and all this shit, and get magic items and stop him.
A weird premise.
I kind of like it. Yeah, it's kind of like it definitely isn't. It definitely does the thing where it just completely strays away from typical like high fantasy. It's got like its own unique thing going on. So respect that.
Yeah, and it was cool. And so I wanted to do like a little tribute to Joe's game. So the players, they found out that the whole like Christmas time is about this story about this Feywild queen and this giant Frozen King, about them being separated due to laws of the Feywild, laws of the ice realm. Just made up some bullshit, and the players were like, oh, that's neat, not realizing that's me foreshadowing shit's about to go down.
Wait, how did you not realize that you were foreshadowing something?
No, they didn't realize it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, wait, what?
Because they heard when I mentioned that the king was called the Frozen King. Joe's like, oh, that's like that's cool. Oh, that's a cool reference, Matt. I appreciate that. Just like winky face.
It's oldest. See.
And so, as the players, the end celebration is that the new like mayor of the city wants to give the players the key to the city as thanks. Besides giving them the stronghold, they're like, you saved us, so just like, no token. Here's a key to the city, all the shit. And then one of the the invincible overlord, one of his servants, shows up and interrupts the whole thing. My player's like, who the fuck? What? Like, why are you? No, go. Yo, we're getting the key. Get out of here. This is not your time. This is our time.
Boy, fuck off.
Yeah. And so what this dude ended up doing was he had, I just MacGuffined, he had a gem. And basically, when he cracked the gem, it teleported the players to the ice realm. As the invincible overlord was trying to kill them via magic, teleporting nonsense. This is also where I think I've had one of my most successful fucking like big bad boss fights. Because this is the 3-phase fight that I think I mentioned once or twice before.
Yes.
Where my players, they fought the Frozen King. Stat blocks for it was a frost giant, and then they knocked it down. And they're like, okay, we did it. And then he came back a little stronger, and it became the one from Volo's Guide, the frost giant of everlasting something. I don't fucking remember what it's called. The zombie one that basically it gave it rage. It was basically a barbarian.
I feel stupid. I was like, the Quintessa? Oh no, wait, that's a storm giant.
That's the storm giant one. Yeah, no. And so they beat that one, and my players were like, all right.
It's literally called a frost giant everlasting.
Everlasting one, yeah. And it's a little stronger and it has rage. So my players are like, fuck, God, damn it, Matt. Fucking.
It also has the extra hit.
Yeah. And so my players took that one down, and they're like, all right, we did it. And then one of my players was like, guys, Matt's a Dragon Ball Z fan. How many forms did Frieza have?
Matt's a Dragon Ball Z.
And so I described as the body of the giant began to crack and begin to like form as an egg. And they're like no. Giants don't lay eggs, Matt. They don't lay eggs at all. And I describe how the Frozen King basically turned into an adult white dragon. Which for that level of CR my players, it was basically the two giants back to back was pretty tough. The dragon was deadly. That was like super deadly encounter for them. And my players were like, Matt, fuck. Is this?
You know what's funny is in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, there's a frost giant zombie.
Oh yeah. That came out way after this. I wish I fucking had that stat block. That would have been cool too. But yeah, no, my players they fought it. It ended up knocking. I think it knocked out 2 or 3 of the players, and this is when I had like a 5 or 6 man team party. And fucking my buddy Nano, the Bill Murray wizard, he managed to survive with like 1 HP after a frost breath from the dragon that should have killed him, but he survived with like 1 HP left, and then cast Bigby's hand and just basically bitch slapped the dragon to death.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as you do.
As you do. And so after they killed the dragon, they released his spirit. The Frozen King thanked them, gave them some goodies, and sent them back to their regular plane. Was like, all right, you saved the day. You saved. You freed me from being evil. Thanks. Go home. Get out of here. Get off my property.
Thanks. Now fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess I'll die.
Yeah. This was also when, after that little adventure, this is also when I started watching Dice Camera Action. Show that Wizards of the Coast was doing with like Holly Conrad, Pro Jared, Nate Wants the Battle, and Anna Prosper. And Chris Perkins was DMing that too.
Oh, damn.
I was like, Chris Perkins? I love that guy.
He said white dragons are dumb.
He said white dragons are dumb. I love this man. And so he started running an adventure, and they started off in Curse of Strahd. And one of the coolest fucking things they did was they brought, I'm gonna butcher, I think the voice actor's name, Sam Whitaker, the guy who does, he's the big star, he's the dude who's Darth Maul.
Yeah,
Whitwer, sorry. I knew I was gonna butcher his last name. Yeah, they brought him on because apparently back in like years ago, he played D&D with Gary Gygax and his son. Ooh. So Chris Perkins asked him to, hey, would you mind playing as Mordenkainen for a couple of sessions? And he did Gary's voice because he's a fucking actor. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to do that.
You just unlocked. I was about to say unlocked a memory, but like it literally happened today, so I don't know if it counts as a memory. But like, my teacher for class today was talking about his D&D campaign, and it's run by the guy who helped write the fucking Planescape book.
Oh shit, that's why.
That's my teacher's DM. I was like, bro,
that's cool.
I'm jealous.
That's when we were talking to Moogie, and she was like, oh yeah, one of my students is a coder for Rockstar. And we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Also, the official art for the Beholder in 3rd edition, that was my teacher.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really sick.
I was like, damn, this man out here casual flexing.
Yeah, man.
I just randomly thought about that.
I love, if anyone has, I think I've mentioned this in the podcast too, if you have the time and the money, on Amazon, you can rent this movie. It's called Eye of the Beholder. It goes through all the art from the 1st edition all the way up to now, and like they actually interview a shit ton of the artists and talking about different settings and different art pieces and the big 4 guys who started and basically got D&D art like and fantasy art and pushed it forward into modern art. It's so good.
Yes, I have heard about that. I should know I'll like it.
It's a very good movie. It's basically, if you like the 5e Art of Arcana book, you'll really appreciate.
I haven't looked at that at all, but I do know about it. So,
oh fuck! All right, I gotta find you a copy. Fucking great. But yeah. So after seeing that, I want to throw Mordenkainen in the book into my. I want to make Mordenkainen an NPC for my players, just because I'm like, this is fucking great. I'm like, this is fun. I started looking up shit on Mordenkainen and like what his deal was as a wizard. Also because of the book, the Tome of Foes came out, I was looking at a lot of the monsters, and I really loved. My favorite monster from Tome of Foes is the Grey Render. I don't know why, I just love gray render.
Big gray rhino puppy.
Big gray rhino puppy. Yep. Specifically, their deal is that they're
dogs.
They're dogs for basically magic users. They love, and for some reason have the like a psychic connection with smart magic users. So
they also have like weird hatreds of like. There's if I remember correctly, they have like a table of like things they could potentially hate. And
that just enrages them.
Yeah, they just have like a weird hatred of oddly specific things. Like I believe one of them is small trees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, hates horses. Roars loudly when bonded creature is touched by another creature. Likes to snuggle. Uproots and chews on trees. Has terrific and eye-watering flatulence. Brings offerings of meat to its bonded creature. Compulsively digs up the ground. They're just like weird, big angry dog monsters.
I just love the idea of hates small trees. You're like walking through a forest.
Uproots and chews on trees.
Slaps a tree into the horizon. You're like, no, Jeffrey, stop that right now. Stop that right now.
Oh,
this is squirty squirts.
Wait, this is a great one. Chases birds, leaping in the air to catch them, heedless of the destruction it causes.
Oh,
because they're like massive.
They weigh about as much as a fucking hippo.
Yeah, basically.
I think they're huge size too. So it's like
they're large. They're large, but
are they large?
They're heavy.
I thought they were bigger than that.
No, they're large, but they are very heavy. Oh.
Just hear some tweeting, and then all of a sudden, she's like, "Jeffrey, no, Hulk jump!"
Jeffrey,
smashes the fucking someone's roof.
Wait, reread the flatulence one.
It has. What is it? Hold on.
Has eye-watering flatulence.
It has terrific and eye-watering flatulence.
Terrific.
Yeah, the way they word that, terrific and eye-watering, like,
What do you mean terrific? Like,
I don't know.
Terrifically
terrifying.
loud?
Terrifically bad, I guess.
What was this is not related to anything. I'm trying to think what my favorite monster in Mordenkainen is. What it might be the Armanite, the weird like demon centaur with the fucking like
those are
zappy
sick.
tail.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Yeah, those
that
are cool.
Or I think was the Eidolon in that book.
Yeah, Eidolon was in there.
Yeah, weird fucking like celestial ghost monster thing. I love that guy.
Yeah, possesses the statue that they ended up using the statue from the original DM's guide or whatever. The one with like the demon face with the gem and the two guys like trying to prop it out.
Oh yeah, it also just has like a 1 minute frighten and stun. It just has the fucking scarecrow ability. Though it's not as good, but it's still like jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, how do combine? Also, same deal around this time. Started playing Witcher 3. Fucking loved it. Great game. Also found a lot of people who also like Witcher 3 that play D&D, and someone's like, hey guys, I made a Leshen stat block. I'm like, I'll take that.
Oh, wait, the Cadaver Collector. Sorry. I
Cadaver Collector. Oh, yeah, Cadaver Collector.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot that was in Mordenkainen. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that it's like that, and there's another one, I think it's called the Predator. It's like the CR16, like metal panther creature. Like that's also an Eberron
Predator.
thing.
Yeah,
Steel Predator. That's an Eberron thing. And I'm like, why are these so like two specific Eberron things in this book and not an Eberron book? Like,
that thing's metal as fuck.
It's
like
so
no pun
cool.
intended.
Yeah, it is. It's a metal panther. It's like fucking Joey. And fucking Joey Wheeler. Black Panther, metal more. You're just like, wait, no.
Metal Black Panther.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look, it's fucking
it looks
huge.
like a weird metal xenomorph panther thing.
That's not its 5e art, but
no, I think this is
just as that's the
5e art.
Which, even scarier.
Yeah, it's a weird creature. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, they're still like if they weren't such a high like CR, I would have thrown these at my players like forever ago. But I'm waiting till like an opportunity because I want to use this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Writes this down.
Yeah. But
they got the fortress. They're doing some fucking random ass jobs.
Do stuff. They survive being hurled into the ice plane and fighting a giant who can change to a dragon. My players were like, all right, this fucking sucks. Chilling out at home, get a knock at their gate door. Fucking Jeff. Like, yep. My name is Jeff. There's a Mordenkainen to see you. The player's like, a what?
Who? What? No.
So they meet Mordenkainen, and basically his, like, I joke because one of the things Mordenkainen does is he plane hops a lot, and he goes to different planes, and his whole deal is about law and balance. He tries to make sure all the planes. Yeah. So Mordenkainen, he's like, listen, I came to this plane because I feel like this plane is a little out of whack, unbalanced. I'm coming to check on it. However, I lost my pet gray render. I lost my pet, and can you guys like help me find her?
Can you help me find my
player's
dog?
Like, yeah, my player's like, aren't you like incredibly can't you just wish her here? And he's like, nah, I don't have time for that. I'm a powerful wizard. I got other things I gotta do. My player's like, if this came from any other person, Matt, I'd be really upset right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like that. I like that you didn't take the time to consider the fact that he's like a powerful wizard. So when your players grilled you on it, you were like, I don't know, don't worry about it.
No, I did, and that was the excuse. There. I was like,
oh, you thought about it, and that was still your choice. Okay, so you're just an animal.
Decision, but considering I think it's a stupid one, I've elected to ignore it.
All right, so Matt, you're just a fucking animal. Okay.
Yes.
I see how it is.
And so my players were like, all right, Mr. Mordenkainen, what do you plan on doing? And also my players, because they heard about like Tales of the Yawning Portal, my players started now looking at D&D books and like other adventures and shit. Not like reading adventures, but like they've heard some shit, watched YouTube videos, and they kept bringing up, they're like, oh, Matt, I want to see you like run something like White Plume Mountain. I'm like, well, I could just easily take that and put it into my adventure.
Yeah, I mean, just run White Plume Mountain.
Yeah, and so Mordenkainen is like, hey, tell you what. He's like, if you guys find my pet, if you find my pet Grey Render, I will bring this super crazy dungeon to your plane, and you guys can go through, try to solve the puzzle and all that, and go dungeon delving in there, get some money.
All right, Matt, I have a very important question.
Yeah.
What was the Grey Render's name?
Betsy. Got a pink bow and everything.
Of course she did. Of course she did.
Yeah, why wouldn't she?
Prepared. I was not prepared.
It's a lady Grey Render, Josh. Why wouldn't I give her a bow?
You're right. I mean, how else are you gonna tell?
Exactly.
You're right.
Thank you.
You're right, and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
so they go exploring through the woods near the outside the city. They find out that the Leshen kidnapped the Grey Render for some reason and basically was siphoning life out of it. My players killed the Grey Render. The Bill Murray wizard Nano fucking like bonded a little bit with the Grey Render and was like, fuck, I was like, I could use one of these. This thing is amazing.
Can I have?
Yeah, basically, and I'm like, later, maybe. And so they save the Grey Render. They bring it back to Mordenkainen, who was like, oh yes, oh good, I was off doing other things, such as a powerful wizard does. He gives him the map. He gives him the key. He's like, there you go. He's like, White Plume Mountain. I summoned it here. Go there whenever you want, and have fun in the dungeon. He's like, now I'm off to Earth to start a podcast. Because apparently that was a thing that Gary Gygax used to do in his free time, was go on, they weren't called podcasts back then, they were called radio shows, as Mordenkainen.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Him and his friends would host a radio show.
Just roll up
in
to
their
radio
town,
shows, hopped
and
up
they
on
would all
cocaine.
be in character. Like, so I like joked, I'm like, yes, I'm going to start a podcast on the Earth. Wish me luck. They're like, God damn it.
I'm just imagining Gary Gygax in a recording booth and just tapping out a little something with the credit card. Just, all right, boys, we're here to travel the plains. This Mordenkainen's Madhouse. Let's go. 497 K109. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
So
I have
random.
so many questions.
It was like one of those, like, when you look on like the Forgotten Realms wiki page or anything, and it's like under like special like factoids that no one ever be like, look at. It's like, did you know that Mordenkainen hosted his own radio show? And it's just like, what? On Earth? And he's like, yeah. He said Mordenkainen, he's like one of the few Forgotten Realms people that knows of Earth and can go to Earth. It's like, why?
Literally, why? I love, you know.
Yeah.
I just imagine like, he's probably out there cheating on me with some girl. Meanwhile, doing radio show as D&D character.
Doing radio show with Mordenkainen.
Like, what the? I mean, he did cheat on his wife, so that's a bad example. But that's still like, what the fuck?
Oh shit!
Holy
I didn't know that.
Bless.
There's a story of her like thinking he was at some other woman's house, and she like barged in, like in one of his friend's house, and literally found them in the. So
Fantastic.
you know,
Yeah, because it's like he's been gone for 6 hours. He must be cheating.
nope, he's just pretending to be an elf. It's fine.
Meanwhile, I like to roll on my flame tongue.
Yep.
Oh. What else? What happened after this? Is in the shenanigan arc. I don't know what to call like this part of the campaign.
Yeah,
Other
the
than just
fucking
random
West
stuff.
March's chaos energy.
West March chaos, yeah.
Are we approaching getting lost in space?
Soon TM.
Soon, TM? Okay.
I think. What else? Oh, also, one of the other bits I ended up doing was I wanted to run my own version of what's that old adventure that Matt Colville talked about all the time? The one where it's like a bunch of lizard folk took over a town and brainwashed people.
I have no idea.
Oh fuck! It's gonna kill me.
Cult of the Reptile God.
Yes. I wanted to do
Against
something
the
like
Cult
that.
of the Reptile God.
Against the Cult of the Reptile Gods. So what I ended up doing was I had like, and this entire town was being poisoned and brainwashed by Yuan-Ti, who built a dungeon under the city, or under the port. And basically the only way to get to the dungeon was to swim underwater and, you know, swim into the tunnel. But they were slowly poisoning all the water in the city, which lowered people's wisdom scores. Actually, this one I also stole from Zbash because he did that in the video. I thought it was a fucking sick idea. Oh, great art of steel, Josh. Shut up.
I didn't even say anything.
I hear your stare of judgment.
What? I didn't even say anything. What the fuck?
He said, I hear your stares. You didn't need to say anything.
I actually didn't even hear the previous sentence. I zoned out for a second there, so I don't. Okay.
All right, good. Never
Don't
mind.
worry, Matt. I'm judging you now.
Thanks.
Everybody judges Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that. My players were doing some investigating, looking around town, found the tunnel to the Yuan-Ti, and after, the thing that a lot of players will plan and try and plan for an hour or two, and me sitting there just being like, yep, we're planning. What the fuck do I do?
You're with your dick in your.
Yeah, this was before I knew about the whole all right, guys, I'll give you an hour and cut them off. I just let them, plan for way too long. And so their plan was, we're gonna disguise ourselves as Yuan-Ti and maybe tell people that we're bringing in a couple of new indentured servants, let's say.
A couple of new
For the
employees.
Yuan-Ti. Yeah, a couple of new employees, interns. But they got to the front door, and I like the idea of Yuan-Ti because when I looked up the Yuan-Ti, for some reason they learn or they know I forgot what is they know, is it infernal or abyssal and Draconic or something? They know a couple of different languages.
I don't know.
And so one of the cool thing, one of the things I thought was a neat idea was my players, if they
Abyssal and Draconic. Okay.
Abyssal and Draconic, thank you. So what I did was I had the Yuan-Ti speak both languages, so every other word would be a different thing. So and none of my players understood Abyssal, and only one of them understood Draconic. So they were getting half the message.
Oh, I see. Yes, they had to piecemeal everything together.
Yeah, and so my players, as soon as they got to the front door, they heard one of the characters, and they still had the Drake with them. There's just a bunch of UNT. Maybe one or two of the players are in quote unquote fake chains, and then a Drake with them. So they enter into the dungeon, which I ripped the dungeon from Tomb Annihilation, the big UNT dungeon in that game. Such a cool fucking dungeon. But this is a big mistake though on my end. Because one of the things that happened was as soon as they got to the front door, one of the UNT guards was like talking to the player that understood Draconic, and the only thing the player understood was food from the guy, that he wants your food. And so my player's like, all right, starts like opening pack, and then the UNT grabbed the collar of the Drake and started dragging him away. Which I wasn't, again, new DM at the time. This was probably a really bad signal for me. I shouldn't have like signaled it, because what my players thought was, oh no, he's gonna eat. Like they want the Drake, they want to eat the Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my intention was like, they could have read it that way. They could have read they want to give the Drake food, like they wanted to eat the Drake. I was gonna like let that, leave that to my players to determine what they wanted to, get out of that. And I thought they'd try and argue or talk with the guy, because one of the things, and I kind of used some of the bits in the adventure that after hearing the arguing, one of the UNT would come out and try and basically negotiate with the players, being like, hey, I want to take over, and my boss is a giant dick. I don't believe in him. He's weak. Let me help you get to him. You kill him, I take over, and us UNT that live here, we'll leave the town. We'll leave this dungeon. Yeah.
I have a feeling from the way you're describing this is not how.
None of that happened at all. None of that happened at all.
I'm not surprised by this.
Immediately, my buddy Wolf, I stab him.
Stab who?
He tried to stab the UNT.
Which one?
They're trying to take his dog. Huh?
Which one?
Guard.
Oh.
Yeah. So as the guard is trying to take the Drake away, he's like, I pull out my sword and I stab him because he's not taking my pet dog. I'm like, okay. So it started some combat that continued on to the next room. And one of the things in the adventure that I wish I didn't fucking do, and I realized it too late that I shouldn't have done this, was that every round when they're in the certain chamber or the certain room, there's a UNT who stands by this large alarm like gong. And if they notice any trouble, they ring the gong and like 1d6 or 1d4 UNT show up. And so I did that. Like a dumbass. Instead of just leaving it as all of like, there was like a whole mix of like UNT, Brood, I think. The UNT Brood, the like lizard rager guys. Brood Guard. One of the special UNTs from Tome of Foes. I don't remember what they're called, Mist Walkers or something. Or Mist Whisperers.
Nightmare Speaker?
Maybe that's it. I don't remember. It's been so fucking long. But basically they just fought literally a horde of UNT.
Yeah. I believe, by the way, the whole reason for the gong thing is because if I remember correctly, in Tomb of Annihilation, the adventure, you're supposed to lose that fight. So
you're supposed.
They like just keep summoning reinforcements until you get bodied. That's why that was there.
Oh, wait, do you mean the Wraith Warrior?
Mind Whisperer?
Maybe it's there. It's like there's the one guy with the snakes, like his whole arm is snakes and Mordenkains. There's another one that's like a Cobra Head dude. And then
the Cobra Head dude's the Mind Whisperer.
Okay, so I'm thinking of the third one then, which is literally just like a lady with a snake, like giant snake body.
Nightmare
Speaker. Okay, that was the sap block. That was the first one.
Medusa snake.
Medusa lady. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what they fought on top of a horde of UNT and who UNT brute. And so I kept doing that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. The fight took 3 whole fucking sessions.
Holy
I felt so fucking bad, like looking back on that, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have had the gong there. I should have just fucking ended it with that.
How did your players even make it that? Like, they didn't get bodied?
No.
Oh Shit.
But what were you giving
Hey.
your players?
Too many. items.
Too many magic items. Yeah, probably too many
Space
magic items.
steroids?
Kind of.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't here for the discussion, Sam, but Matt made a good.
I gave
he made a large
I-
point to be like, way too many magic items.
I know Matt's talked about it before, but like I didn't think it would be that.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. He was
I
explaining.
don't think it
last
was
night.
just. I don't think it was just the magic
No, it's
items. I
not.
think it was like.
Yeah,
it was a mix of magic items. Also, my players.
You also
you know,
have a couple of
they're-
munchkins.
Some munchkins, yeah, but they really
How do
like
we do
combat.
that?
They really like, fighting tactics, which for me, that's like something I've had to learn to be like, all right, my players like tactics. I need to be more tactical with monsters and stuff. Whereas before, I'd be like, haha, silly thing, and just fucking throw whatever at them. If it dies in one round, I'd be like, fuck. Why is it, it's like, why is this monster so bad? Meanwhile, it was me because I wasn't running it good.
I am the dumb one.
Yeah,
Wow,
basically.
that's crazy. I'm surprised they were able to make it that far.
Seriously,
Yeah.
that's
Again,
Yeah.
I feel really bad because I'm like, I should have just ended it with one fucking encounter or one session, not even one session of a whole fight, but like,
Well,
I should have not used the fucking gong.
well. So the question: did they start to like sound or act like they were burning out towards the end?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say because it doesn't bother them, then it is what it is.
Yeah, no, they were burned out by the end, and then they're like, fuck, we have the rest of this done to go through. So after 3 sessions of that, the rest of the dungeon, I basically said after the alarm was triggered, most of the yuan Ti that was still there fled, except for the boss and whoever was in his main chamber. Because I'm like, the boss isn't leaving. He doesn't want, he didn't see this group of murder homeowners, sorry, because they actually have a stronghold.
Yeah.
He didn't see them just murder like fucking 30, 40 fucking of his minions. So he doesn't know. So they find a guy who is a changeling pretending to be one of the dude's servants. And he's like, hey, listen, I'll get you into the chamber with them and you can, murk them or whatever. Just get me the fuck out of here. I want to go home. I'm tired of pretending to be a yuan Ti. Brings them to the chamber. They have this another big fight. My players are like, all right, guys, we go one more, and then we're out of here. And I felt bad too because again, some of them got knocked down in the fight, but they managed to pull it off. And Joe's barbarian at this time, the Bugbear barbarian, got a berserker axe. Because I randomly rolled for like what kind of, I wanted the yuan Ti boss to have some sort of I think he just had the abomination stat block. I just changed his weapon out to be like a random magic item. And of course I got the fucking berserker axe. I'm like, yes, the cursed one that wants you to just keep fucking killing everything, even your friends. I love it.
Beautiful.
And even during the fight, the abomination boss, he actually just murked one of his guys in the middle of the fight. And I was kind of like hinting at like, oh yeah, it's the axe. And he's like, oh, okay. My players didn't know. They didn't care. They're like, fuck it. But yeah. But they killed him, rescued whoever was in there, saved the town. They're like, all right, never again. Fuck you, aunties.
That's a fair reaction.
And they were like, they found out that a bunch of the yuan Ti that I mentioned escaped. There was like a secret hatch outside of town and a big tunnel, like underground tunnel that led out there. And they found because this is also still wintertime, like a bunch of snow tracks and all that shit. And our players are like, we're not dealing with that. The yuan Ti, they're fine. They can go. We killed their boss. They get a free pass this time. Fuck them. No more. I felt really bad. I still feel bad of how long that fight was and how the session that was really bad. I should have just cut that whole part out.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. In hindsight and everything, but I am a little surprised that regardless of being new or not to DMing, I am a little surprised you didn't at some point think maybe the gong is a bad idea. Maybe I should stop doing the gong.
I think the second session was when I stopped doing it, and there was still so many yuan Ti that bled into the third session.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it took me a session and a half to realize this was not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, what if you were in that? Just out of random curiosity, if you were in that situation again, what do you instead?
I would not have the fucking gong. I would not have that
Well,
many.
let's assume you left the gong in there and you're in session 2. The fight's gone through half the session.
Probably should have had some of the UNT probably like flee or leave to go warn the boss. Probably have some of them try and get out so that there's less UNT for the players that are fighting at the moment, and that, oh shit, we still have to go through the rest of the dungeon. But at that point, I could still either have, say, a bunch of UNT escaped through that secret tunnel. Some of them went to back up the boss, so maybe the boss fight would have been harder, which I didn't really want to do, but would have. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Honestly, if it was me, I think I should have just said a few of them, said, fuck this, it's not worth it, all my homies are dying.
Yeah. What else? Oh, this is also after that adventure. That's when they, I mentioned this a couple podcasts ago, but this is where the whole Rahadin thing was, where they went on a random bounty hunting job. And that's when I threw Rahadin because I saw a stat block from Curse of Strahd and was like, I like this guy.
Rahadin, that was...
He was the chambermaid for Strahd, I think. He was like the Dusk Elf dude.
Yeah.
I just made him a random like bounty hunter guy because I liked he had this like really cool ability where every person that he's killed, like anyone who stands within 15 feet of him, hears their screams of like torment and damnation. Cool. Now for him, he's just like, yeah, I just, I've been living with, I'm an elf, so I live forever. I live like hundreds of years. It's just music to me now. It's just white noise. It's fine. I just ignore it.
Music. Oh.
Yeah. So my players had to deal with him. They killed him, and they're like, all right, fuck. Like we got the bounty. We caught the dude. This is also then when Joe was like, hey, I'm not feeling the bugbear guy anymore. I want to switch back to playing the Shadow Sorcerer, but I want him to be a Great Old One Warlock now.
So wait. All right, I'm multitasking slightly.
Are you good?
So wait, the Yuan T situation just ended, like they beat the boss's ass and like that was it, mission good, we're out?
Yeah, because now there's this whole, basically the city, like after they're like, all right, so we found out the UNT were poisoning the town. We don't really have an antidote, but we think that after a while, the town will just basically, the effects will wear off.
So that the Yuan T situation didn't like lead.
The only thing it led into is that the UNT were working for the Dragon Cult, and that's where they met that one Dragon Cultist that the players had him write the god's name in the stick, like in the dirt with a stick, and they're like, what is this? That's really the only thing that you...
It sounds like there was a chunk in the middle of a campaign where your players were doing a lot of shit that wasn't tied to any bigger final goal, huh?
Oh, no, it was just like, this is the West March of like, yeah, we're just adventuring, we're just making money, we're just fucking...
So this sounds like a good reason as to why... This sounds like part of the reason why things went on way longer than they should have, huh?
Probably.
Because you weren't building towards any target at the time.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just
Awesome.
I was just observing that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, definitely would have done the UNT situation much differently now.
I'd hope.
No, sorry, we were talking about Joe switching back to his...
Oh yes, he wants to switch characters again. Yeah.
Again,
or no, switch
he
back
wanted to play
his other character.
He wanted to swap back to his original character, but change the class and subclass. Which, for me, I'm like, okay, it fits because the reasoning made sense. It fit more of what he wanted to do. Because he, like the Shadow Sorcerer, he's like, oh, it was cool, but I'm playing this more of like this. His character had a deity, and he really worshipped it, and he thought the deity was like part of the moon, part of the shadows, and everything. So he's like, what if he's like, Matt, what if instead it was a Great Old One? I'm like, oh, okay, if you want it to be.
You're like, I fucking yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that. He changed. I think. Oh, this is also around the time that Sammy, who she originally was a barbarian, and then changed characters and went to the barbarian druid barbarian build.
Barbarian.
Yeah, her because of work and stuff, she was very infrequent. Like, unfortunately, due to like scheduling, she couldn't make it to every session, so she just randomly would show up. Like, she missed a bunch of the UNT stuff and managed to show up at the boss fight. She randomly showed up in like the players were like having dinner with someone, and then she was like, "Hey guys, I'm here." I'm like, "Oh shit, oh fuck, fuck." And so I joked, I'm like, you know what, because her character was the barbarian, but she was playing a Snurfeblin like little character who liked to steal little trinkets and things.
Snurfeblin?
Yeah. The deep gnome.
Oh.
Nerfneblins?
Yeah, and because she was a druid, the players joked that she's like, oh, it's she's like a Pokemon. We can just whenever she's here, she just summons.
Did you not know that's what they were called, Isaiah?
I didn't know.
Yeah,
oh, that's their actual full name. Yeah, Snurfeblins. Yeah.
Huh. Neat.
Gnome names are fun.
They're weird little guys.
Yeah.
Little dudes,
9 gems for their. Don't beat them up. Anyways. What? What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Okay. I don't know where the name came from either. It's fucking Ed Greenward. Goddamn Forgotten Realms nonsense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we joked because they're like, oh, she can transform. She's a bear all the time. It's a Pokemon. So players basically were like, yeah, she just sleeps inside the bag of holding. And then whenever Sammy shows up, her character jumps out of the bag of holding. I'm like, you know what? Sure. Fine, whatever.
Sleeping in the bag of holding would suffocate you to death. But okay.
Yeah, normally it would. But I was like, you know what? Fuck, I don't care. It's fine. This is fine. Just to the contact of just to like make it easier on me for like people coming and going. I was like, all right, yeah, I know.
No, I was gonna say in the first ever game I was in, we had he wasn't allowed to play a dwarf, so he was a really short, stout human who was just the most random agent of chaos. Like there's a whole because he couldn't always be there, much like this character. We just had to he just walked out. And there's one I don't remember if I remember it. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but I believe he came back one session and we were like, oh wait, where's Hoodad? And he's like, oh, I'm here. I just kicked the door and it's like, we're in the king's castle. What the fuck do you mean? He's like, I don't give a shit. I kicked the door and we're like,
it's like the scene from Emperor's New Groove. Boom, baby.
Yeah, bro, literally that. Yeah.
We are in high society.
We also joked that because he was so stout, he was as wide as the door frames were, kind of like Kingpin.
Oh my fucking god!
He just had to walk sideways through everything because we were like, he's only 4 feet tall, but he's 6 feet in girth.
Oh god! God, I love that.
Oh, Goith.
Oh, why was dwarves banned? That's such a.
I don't know. Ask Cardell.
That's such a specific thing.
Correct.
Anywho. Yeah, Joe switched back to being a warlock. Sammy's character lived in the bag of holding.
So wait, he went from being a what to a what?
Shadow sorcerer to a warlock. Great old
to
one,
a
warlock. It was also around this time that the party were in between adventures. We're kind of dealing with the Thieves Guild that I kind of mentioned in the first episode. They kind of had some encounters with. Also the Drow from the Underdark now. This is when they got home after the UNT bit. They're like, all right, finally, we can just kick up our feet and relax. And then they find that a shit ton of dead Drow all over their house. And they're like, what is this? We hired guards for a reason. And the guards, they survived. But they ended up finding out that, this is I gotta backtrack a little bit. As they find, all the Drow, they're investigating. This is when Joe's bugbear character leaves and Joe's old character, who's now a warlock, comes in. in between the part of the players getting the stronghold and when Calorel's castle fell, Joe specifically was like, hey, can since my original character is going away for a while, he wants to set up a church to his like shadow god or whatever. Like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, hey, do you remember the Tanaruk? I'm like, yeah. He's like, can I take his tooth? Can I take the magic dragon sword? I'm like, with the character you're not playing anymore. Yeah. You know what? Sure. This will be a fun thing later. So. So in between all this stuff, his character was using the tooth and trying to figure out what its deal was, and was like channeling it. And one of the things I ended up doing with the item is that these teeth of the dragon, they can either turn into any weapon you want, or they can become like a powerful like arcane focus. He's like, oh, okay, I'll use it as arcane focus, and I'll try and study it while I'm playing the bugbear for a while, and if I ever come back to this character. So he did. So he's like, okay. So now that I'm back to this character, he's like, I have the tooth, right? I'm like, nah. I'm like, actually, the drow also kind of robbed your church and they stole the tooth. He's like, fuck, I knew it. Which
I like the I knew you would let me have it.
Yeah. And then the players are like, just another thing to add to the list of why the drow must be destroyed.
It's going in the book.
It's going in the fucking book.
Yeah, the Book of Grudges. Like, all right, Matt, we're gonna go to Webtown. We're gonna fucking murder all those bastards.
Webtown?
Stall our loot. I don't remember. What did I actually? Because they didn't like the name Menzo Branson.
Called it Webtown.
I think I named it. No, I named it Webtropolis. Even worse.
Okay, I don't know.
Worse.
Yeah, no, that's
I
worse.
don't know why that reminded me. There's like a new Spider-Man comic where there's like a new Spider-Man with normal Spider-Man. Yeah. And it's not like web slinging, it's like web wanging or something like that. And I was like, please don't call it web wanging. That's so gross.
Yeah, no,
he's like, what? No, I'm wanging. Come on, man. And it's like, no, stop.
I'm just wanging here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, stop saying wanging.
Web wanging.
Web wanging.
Oh no, dude.
It's so cursed.
Fuck.
I don't know. Just the web, like Web City or Web Town. And he's like, oh, are you web wanging in Web Town?
Cease. Oh.
But,
God.
So yeah, the players found out that the drow robbed them. They robbed Joe's character's church for the tooth, and they're like, all right, fuck. Turns out that the drow were in league with the Thieves Guild, and they're like, all right, can't deal with the drow because they're underground. However, we can deal with the Thieves Guild because they're here on the surface. Yeah, let's go after them. So they went to this nearby town where they know that the Thieves Guild like originate from and that their main HQ is. And this is also where they sneak in the ground. This is where the two Tabaxi twin characters also, they were a part of the Thieves Guild and they wanted to take it over. The party was like, all right, well, you scratch our backs, get us there, we'll scratch your back, you can take over the guild, whatever. Also, they fucking robbed our house.
Also they robbed their house.
Yeah. So they snuck in, disguised themselves as thieves. The Tabaxis were able to get them into this. I found this really cool map of like an underground sewer system and a sewer dungeon and all this stuff that the Thieves Guild used. And so one of the things that one of the players they found, so the Thieves Guild leader, I found this art of this fucking sick looking Goliath lady. And I gave her, she had one of the dragon teeth as like a cloak or whatever. So my player's like,
how does a tooth make a cloak, Matt? What are you talking about?
So remember I mentioned that the item can turn into either an arcane focus or it can turn into a weapon. Eventually I also added in that I was like, it could also be close, whatever, fuck it.
It's like
weird, but all right.
I'm keep throwing weird references. What's it called? Shard blades from Oh, what's the Brandon
Vikings?
Sanderson series?
Oh,
Maybe,
the Stormlight
where the-
Archive.
Yeah, no, that's the Way of Kings.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't they like? Can't they like change form and like they get as big as small? Or they're like, aren't they like weird lightsabers basically?
I don't know. I literally
Kind of?
just started the first chapter like this
I
week.
have no idea what
I
that
just
is.
started those books.
Like you're not 100% off. No, they're yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
So
All right, cool.
Weird lightsabers.
I've only seen one person with armor in the book. The shard gem. Fuck.
Brother, you read the prologue.
Oh fuck! I didn't even read the first chapter. Shee! All right. Way up, Skeeter. Yeah, so I was
Random
like, all right,
tangent.
yeah, these
Okay.
these are the MacGuffin items in my world. I'm like, yeah, sure, they can do anything, whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
So she had one of my players were like, all right, so now we have another reason that we have to kill her because she has one of those super powerful magic items, and we want it. And they snuck through. They went disguise. They were like, all right, everyone's in disguise. Everyone thinks we're all Thieves Guild members. Let's break off. Let's separate, gang. Search for clues. All that nonsense. One of the players found that there was a minor villain that the party met with Rahadin a while back, who I think I ended up just using the Abjurer stat block for a wizard, and this guy managed to get away while Rahadin got fucking obliterated by my party.
Okay.
Turns out this guy was the Thieves Guild wizard. So they're like, oh, that guy. And so they kept, my players kept fucking with the dude and like setting up like, what are those little spiky, those little spike things you can like throw on the ground and
Caltrops?
like caltrops. So they kept, one of my players was invisible and kept putting caltrops ahead of wherever the wizard was walking. And so slowly they were like doing damage because I think it kept doing like 1 damage to the wizard. So he kept just being like, he's like, who's fucking doing this?
Ow.
And like,
Ow, fuck
yeah,
off. Ow.
basically. And my players just kept fucking him like tying his shoes together and like changing his they followed him into a poker game and they changed his cards and fucking gave him like a terrible hand. And so the wizard was like beaten up. He's fucking annoyed, and now he's just like threatening everyone in the Thieves Guild. Like, I know it's you. You're fucking with me. You're all fucking with me. I know it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
The Omega level gaslighting going on.
Imagine if he died or went unconscious from caltrops.
From caltrops? That
Yeah,
would be
he's just like-
amazing.
fucking
He just
funny.
stubbed his toe so hard he just like passes the fuck out.
I think it was Chris.
Sir, have you ever stepped on a Lego? Do you realize how painful that is?
Yeah, no, I know.
I think it was the Shadow Monk. He kept trying to like, because they kept turning him invisible, and he was the one placing the caltrops down. So he's just like, I'm gonna make sure he dies by my caltrops, Matt. Mark my words.
Kill
please
this. Kill this man with caltrops.
Wait, would caltrops break invisibility? Because you're not making an attack. You're just
don't think
throwing them on the
setting
ground.
down an item.
Yeah.
So you could just caltrop
Yeah,
the
I
shit
think
out of
that's-
somebody.
Yeah. What else? Oh, also, all right. So 2 other things. Around this time, 2 things happened. Mad Mage just came out. I was reading some of the books in there and being like, what can I steal? The other thing was the Chain of Acheron started up, and the episode where they meet the Gith character, I forgot his name. And the mind, there was a
I'm also forgetting.
The Gith was either next to or sharing a cell with a mind flare, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I'm like, what if the Thieves Guild just had a mind flare in a prison for some reason?
Just casually.
Oh,
Yep. And
I love how, Matt, every time you come up with an idea, you just go, for some reason.
for some reason, that's fine. That's fine.
You never think beyond that. You're like, I don't know, for some reason.
Gosh, she's cool. Mind flare, cool. Mind flare
out
and
here
Thieves
just
Guild,
it's
also
like
cool.
Heath Ledger. I just do things.
I just do things. Yeah.
I can't argue
think-
with that logic, I suppose.
But here's my problem, Josh. I was like, wait, I'm like a mind flare in a Thieves Guild. That's pretty ridiculous, even for me. However, in Bad Mage book, there's a picture of a mind flare pirate. And I'm like, genius. Mind Flare Rogue.
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay.
So, they had the Mind Flayer imprisoned because him and the Thieves Guild leader had beef. And so one of my players found out, the Mind Flayer's like, hey, let me out, and I promise I won't eat your brains. What could possibly go wrong? Players are like, yeah, it checks out. Yeah.
Nothing.
Did it go horribly wrong?
Oh yeah. So my players are like, all right, we fucked around. We fucked around enough, guys. Let's go after the Thieves Guild leader. Let's go after her. And they tracked her down. They followed her. They're all trying to hide and like party up. And they disguise the Mind Flayer. And then one of my players is like, actually, wait, guys, even better idea. What if we just let the Mind Flayer go? They're like, what? What do you mean? What if we just let him go off on his own and do things without us, trying to hold his hand or hold him back? And then Chris saw the wizard that he's been fucking with the whole day and was like, hey, Mind Flayer, that guy magic user, he got big brain. Juicy, big brain.
Oh my god.
And so the minute he said that, the players I'm like is like, and so the rest of you, as you turn around to see where the Mind Flayer is, he's gone. And they're like, fuck. They're like, that's gonna bite us in the ass later, probably.
What? They thought it was a good idea to just randomly release the Mind Flayer and let him fuck off.
They were thinking about it. They're like, what if he just causes chaos, eats brains, and a bunch of the other Thieves Guild members will be so distracted fighting the Mind Flayer that we could just deal with the boss and no one will notice. And then they're like, maybe we shouldn't. And then Chris was like, no. Hey, dude, wizard brain, real big brain, delicious. So the Mind Flayer went after the wizard.
Okay, yep.
And so the players went off.
Big brain, real delicious.
I see this as an absolute win.
Much juicy.
So the players went after. They went into the main office of where the Thieves Guild leader was, and this is where Matt learned of how broken the banish spell was. Because I designed this boss, and I'm like, this is gonna be a super cool rogue. She's got green dragon power.
Did they fucking Baba Yaga her ass?
Yep. They banished her, and then they killed the goons in the room. And then holding concentration, they all held their actions, made her reappear, and just fucking flattened her like a pancake.
Let's fucking go, gamers.
I was so... looking back, I should have been like, that's good. But me, like back then, I was so deflated as a DM. I was like, fuck. Banish is fucking broken. God damn it. Why didn't I think to do anything to counteract that? And then it's like, wait, how the fuck... Bro, what do you mean counteract that? How the fuck can you do that?
To give... I don't know if we mentioned this or not on podcast. Throw the context out. We did the exact same thing to Sam when we were playing Curse of Strahd. We banished Baba Yaga, and then everyone squared up, and she reappeared, and she got the bully beat down.
Yeah, we flattened her ass.
In literally one turn.
Yep.
It was if anyone's knows the Jujutsu Kaisen clip, it was just the, hey yo, put those hands up.
Hey, yo, keep those hands up. Keep those hands up.
It was just that. It was just Nanami and Itadori just clowning on that man. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, that's...
Yeah, so me as a DM, I was actually like kind of upset. I was like, fuck, man. Planned this encounter, it was gonna be a cool fight. I wanted to actually use the NPC. I wanted to use this stat block I found, and
yeah.
But no. But then after that, the players were like, okay, well, we dealt with that. They open like the door to the office into the rest of the Thieves Guild, and they see the mind flayer standing out there, arms crossed, being like, "Hey, I've taken over the whole guild. Surrender now, and I'll make your deaths as quick as possible." And so my players,
What was the time span of they let the Mind Flayer lose to the Mind Flayer took over?
An hour. They followed her. They hid for a while. They killed her. They had a little mini encounter before the actual like banishing happened, and then they got to her room. Oh, surprise, bitch, banished.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the Mind Flayer basically mind controlled the entire Thieves Guild and was basically like, yeah, this is my guild now. Everyone's is under my control. You guys surrender yourselves. You be a part of, be a part of the hive mind I'm building, guys. Don't worry. It's going to be great. You'll love it. And again, Joe, everyone's like, fuck, oh my god. They're like, all right, we didn't really take any damage from that last fight, so we could fight our way through this. That's a lot of rogues. That's a lot of sneak attack.
Like that your players' initial response is, we can violence our way out of this.
They thought, they were like, we could try.
They considered it.
They considered it. And then Joe's like, oh wait, guys, I still have one more favor with the genie.
Oh.
And I'm like sitting there like, fuck, he does.
Oh my god.
Like, son of a bitch.
Oh god, the genie.
So he summoned the Ifriti, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna set up a wall of Joe got the spell Wall of Light, which is a fucking broken spell. It's so funny. He's like, I'm gonna cast Wall of Light. I need you to stand in front of it and just murder the shit out of all the Thieves Guild people and all the and the Mind Flayer while we run out of here. And don't look back. And the Ifriti's like, I hate everything about this. If I survive this, I am going to eviscerate you. I'm going to make you. And Joe's like, yeah, I know. You're going to burn my bones. Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Yeah, whatever. Bye. Fuck off.
The Ifriti went out fighting all the people in the guild, and the players escaped with their lives. The Baxi twins later on, meaning they're like, all right, so, players check in. They're like, all right, how's the Thieves Guild doing? They're like, well, most of them are dead. We're rebuilding, but now we're rebuilding under new management. So it's all good.
New management.
Yeah.
Most of them are dead. In fact, all of them. But
Yeah.
it's fine.
And most of them are dead. Never come back.
Yeah.
Also, there may be a very angry genie running around the area.
Yeah, maybe. Also, this is when the joke, Chris's character, who I mentioned last game, he's playing the Kenrin guy. He started dating the female Tabaxi twin in the campaign. Yeah, there's a lot of cat dog jokes.
Ah,
Nice.
Oh, it's name.
Nice.
yes. No, I don't.
Yep. What else?
Cowards.
Oh yeah, Wolf's character was also dating Nurse character. Yeah. I don't remember. I don't think there was any other there might have been. I just don't.
Your players, they romance. My players, they stuff with. It's just one of those things.
We have never once done that. We opened a pizzeria.
I wasn't talking about your game, sir.
I know.
I had no effort in that doing
I know.
of a woman in freezer. Wasn't me.
Wasn't you?
If you want to hear that
it
episode,
really wasn't me.
if you want to hear the story behind that, I don't remember what episode that actually. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. The other thing they did, this one's kind of a very brief side adventure. This is when the players went to visit the Snow Island area that one of the other players is from. They dealt with a ongoing dispute between a bunch of polar bears and werewolves. It was a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a response to that, but okay.
No. And while coming back home, this is when Ragnar, who is another main guy, this is when his character joined into the game as the Goliath barbarian, because all he plays is barbarians. But now I think this is when I had 6 or 7 players at the time. Sammy being again, coming going player.
Every this is not relevant, but every time you say Ragnar, it's to just
Understandable.
God, I wish it wasn't so close.
The wheel of fate is turning. Level 1.
think apparently in my notes, my players were level 13 by this point.
Oh, only level 13.
Only level 13. Yeah, again, this fucking shit dragged on like a mofo. So after they got back from dealing with the the political intrigue, where polar bears and where winter werewolves, my players are like, all right, Matt, we think we're ready. We're gonna go to White Plume Mountain now. We need money. We're going on all these random adventures. We're broke as fuck. Like, okay. So I ran White Plume Mountain as written, but the only thing I changed was the ending. And most of the stuff I had to like increase some shit just because the player's level 13 now.
Did you make the Oni in their game also?
No, the Oni was not the Twitch. I ran the instead of doing an Oni, actually what I ended up using was a treasure golem. I found someone made a stat block for their treasure golem. It was a little higher CR for my players, so a little more struggle. Yeah. I know. Well, yeah, you guys. I don't know why that came out like the way that adventure came out.
For some reason, Karab
just
was a fucking Twitch streamer.
Hell yeah, dude! He became a Twitch streamer in your game.
First.
Yeah, in the original, like when I ran it with the 3-year gang, I ended up just having Caraptus being like, all right, so Mordenkainen years ago kicked his ass for all the shenanigans and all these funhouse dungeons and stealing magic items. Basically, just as a punishment, imprisoned Caraptus. He's like, all right, you're forever going to be trapped here, dealing with adventures for the rest of the time as punishment for all the bullshit you've been doing. So Caraptus was like kind of like he was like a semi-lich, not a demi-lich, but kind of made him like somewhat like
semi-lich.
Semi-lich, yeah.
It's a kind of lich, sort of kind of.
Kind of lich, yeah. And one of the things around this time, I started playing Divinity, Original Sin 2. So one of the things so again, I didn't get that far in Divinity, unfortunately.
That's one of the playable characters.
Yeah,
from the beginning of the game.
Oh no, fuck! I'm sorry. No, I didn't play him.
Skeleton dude.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He wasn't bad. He was. But one of the things I had was the teleporting stones.
Yes.
I had those as magic items, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And the players will get this, and they can use it. Spoilers: they never fucking used it at all. But Caraptus had it, and when the players found him, I made a new like sub level of White Plume Mountain. Is that they went through the whole thing. They got to go to Caraptus, and he was basically working on and experimenting on making this gate stone, like this teleporting stone. These 2 gems that can separate. One person has one, the other person has another. They teleport. However, when my players, while they were dealing with him and fighting him, Chris, the Shadow Monk, Shadow stepped to the table where Caraptus was working on the gate stone. He's like, this gem seems really important. Oh, I know what I'll do. We're inside a volcano, right, Matt? I throw it off the side. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that way Caraptus won't get it anymore. I'll just yeet it into the volcano. Problem solved.
Wait, what did he eat into the volcano?
The stone, the gemstone thing that I wanted to give my players, the teleporting stones from Divinity Original Sin 2. The triangle things in Divinity, triangle bot. Yeah. I found someone who homebrewed one, tweaked it, and was going to give it to my players as a magic item.
Why did they? Why?
Because Chris thought it was something else. They didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't say, Caraptus didn't say anything what it was. He just was like, ooh, shiny gem on table, must be evil. Eat it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which I made a hilarious joke where Caraptus, as they're fighting him, and he's like throwing out a bunch of necrotic spells and shit, and he's like, okay, he's like, you fools, you'll rue the day you mess with me. Once I leave this place, turns around, sees empty table, no gem. And just my players here, what have you done?
No gem. Oh no.
Yeah.
What have you done?
So they kill Caraptus. Mordenkainen showed up, was like, all right, good job. You did it. You went through the dungeon. Here's the fucking gem back. Don't throw it in a volcano anymore. What is wrong with you?
I like.
And then because,
all right, that's fair. No, I just like that your reaction was, let me just fix my player's stupidity.
Just as,
as
I was
opposed to
"Hey,
as opposed to just looking at them and being like, huh, consequences of your own actions.
yeah, no, I was like, that would have been kind of a dick move. I was like, nah, I don't
God,
want
it
to do
would have been
that.
so fun.
I know, but the other thing I did, because I thought it was also a cool thing. So besides completing the dungeon and like getting a bunch some loot, I gave all the players. I'm like, all right, so you're gonna get the blessing of Mordenkainen, which I basically said, you guys get the magic initiate feat. I'm like, oh, and they're like, oh, cool, free feat, sick, free magic feat. And the Ragnar the barbarian's like, fucking magic, what? I don't want this. He's like, take it back. Take back the blessing, Mr. Wizard Man.
Don't get it.
Mordenkainen's like, nah, bro, you have magic now. You have to deal with it. But he's like, but I hate magic. I just hit shit real hard.
I can't.
Yep.
I have no words.
Yep. And so all my players, they got to pick whatever, from the magic initiate feat. And it was also something that Chris, for a while, like, because he mentioned that he really wanted that. That was like the one feat he wanted to take later on. And I was like, oh, let me, he did some cool stuff in the campaign. So I'm like, let me reward him being a good player. And I try and do that sometimes with some of the other players. Someone's doing good. Probably, again, why I gave out magic items like fucking candy. Because if a player was like, doing something cool as a player or being like, generally just a good player, I'd, give them a magic item or whatever. Just be nice. Give them a little like thing, like, a feat or whatever. Looking back now, it's like, the magic initiate feat wasn't probably, again, that wasn't the issue. Definitely magic items like candy. Probably you should not have done that.
Probably.
And then now this starts leading into, this will eventually lead into the great joke. That I'll probably end with. But as the players, they come out of White Plume Mountain. Oh, also, this is one other thing I'll just mention briefly is, I'm not going to say his name because they ended, again, one of the players asked if one of their friends could join the campaign. He was brand new to D&D, all this shit. I'm just going to call him Paladin. Paladin, he wanted to play Dragonborn Paladin, a knight, all that stuff. He was okay at first. Then some signs, he started, hacking every NPC, started being really rude to players, started trying to, just derail shit constantly. And then one of the big things was a bunch of out-of-game life shit was happening, and where he was fucking over the players in real life.
In what fashion? What?
I don't really want to say because it's not my place to say it.
Fair enough.
Just
Like financially, socially, medically,
I don't want to say.
I don't know, just
too
vague,
much,
just like a vague, like.
I just don't want to say. But basically, in game, he was kind of being rude. Out of game, really fucking up. So, eventually, this guy later on would get kicked out of the group. But for now, I'll say Paladin
with one of the players.
Yes, he was friends with one or two of the players. Yeah.
Is he no longer? I see.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, but right now I'm just gonna say so. Paladin joined during the White Plume Mountain arc. And basically I just was like, yeah, he's just a random adventurer in there. He lost his party. They probably died or whatever. So now he just joined up with them.
Got lost.
Yeah. So my players, he's like, oh, cool. So now they have, they have another party member. So the party consisted right now of the Hexblade Fighter, the Old One Warlock, the Bill Murray Wizard, the Kenran Shadow Monk, Goliath Barbarian, and now the Dragonborn Paladin. I had six players? Yeah, 6 players. And then Sammy, 7th, every when the sun and the moon
at random
were in equal alignments.
Yeah. When the stars align.
Yeah. So upon returning and getting a new party member, returning home, the party was like, okay, so now Shadow Chris was like, hey Matt, all right, so can we go visit my monastery? I really want to I want to bring the players there. I want them to meet my old friends. I want to see. Also, I want to see what the fuck you're gonna do with the monastery. So I'm like, okay. And then this is exactly when the Stronghold and Followers book came out. So my players also got all the feats and all those the neat abilities that they got from that, and my players wanted to use them.
More stuff.
More stuff, yeah. By the time they were level 20, my players forgot half the shit they had because they just had so much nonsense.
They're in the middle of a fight. They're like, "Oh yeah, guys, I have a bazooka I forgot about."
Yeah. It was basically. It's like I have so many things to do, Matt. I just don't want to do anything anymore. I'm just gonna Eldritch Blast, Matt. That's all I want to do now. I don't even know what I can do anymore. I just want Eldritch Blast, please. So yeah, they go visit they go visit the monastery. And I actually used the art in the Stronghold and Followers book for the monastery. I thought it was so cool. And when they got there, they learned that this monastery, and this is something that Chris actually told me that he wanted. This monastery, they did the monk thing, kind of like what Wizards of the Coast did with the Golden Vault people. They're a group of individuals that go out seeking magic items, seeking artifacts, and basically taking them and locking them up so that bad people can't do anything with them. And so what I did was okay, maybe
so
I
what
can
you're saying
tie
is
these.
Wizard of the Coast stole from you.
Yes, exactly. I'm coming for you guys. But yeah, this is where also I wanted it to be okay, so maybe they can also find out more about the Teeth of the Dragon from the monks and from these guys, and actually start revealing because I finally at this point I'm like, okay, I want the Dragon Cult to be the final thing that players deal with. They have to gather the teeth. I came up with all the ideas, and I'll probably explain that later, another episode. But. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this is where I can start revealing shit. And also, I wanted to use some of the shit in the Matt Colville book, like the fucking gem dragons. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, so these monks, and also stealing from Skyrim. The monks, their leader is a gem dragon. And they hide him. And they hide him, and basically when you're ready, you get to meet the dragon, and he fucking bestows wisdom on you and all that nonsense. Like, okay, cool. This is gonna be great. As we all know, that did not fucking happen.
No, it did not.
No, it did not. So the players, they're getting a tour. They meet. I think this is actually World of Warcraft art, but I just found this picture of this yoked fucking orc monk.
Show.
I'll find at some
point. I have
point.
a feeling I know exactly what piece of art he's talking about.
I think I know what it is too. Is it? Oh, wait a minute. It's Thrall, isn't it?
Yeah.
It probably is Thrall, but he's wearing a gi. I'm assuming he's just a big fuck off sword on his back. I didn't even know he used a sword. I thought he used a hammer.
He doesn't use a sword.
Oh, then I have no
idea. He
used
used a hammer, and he's also not a monk. He's a druid. Or a shaman. Sorry, he's a shaman.
Right.
He becomes a shaman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or had a lot go on with his life.
He did. He's been through a lot. My man's tired.
Is he still retired, or did he take up?
No, he's retired.
Very much so.
He's retired doing I need
shaman
to
things instead.
Yeah, he's doing astral I need to keep the world from ripping itself apart type job.
Yeah.
As one does, I guess.
Yeah.
Is he a dragon now or anything? The new dragon expansion? He's flying a dragon friend. I guess come Assyrian rule. Let's go.
I stopped paying attention, so
I mean maybe, but I don't think so.
I after the last expansion, I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was just passively paying attention to the lore through other people, and now I'm like, no, don't even talk to me about this.
Burn it all.
Hurts. Anyway.
But yeah, so the players, they're getting a tour of the monastery. They're meeting a couple NPCs. This is where they meet, and I joked, they meet Chad Elfington. He basically, imagine an elf, if you will, with the emo haircut and everything. Faye's mom. And he was like a shadow monk, in this, he was a shadow monk, and Chris was like, oh, all right, he's just going through a phase. Don't worry, guys. All shadow monks go through this. I'll help him through the way.
All shadow monks go through this. Okay.
And so they're hanging out. I'll reiterate what happened. They're hanging out. They're hanging out on beanbags. They're fucking just partying it up with this, basically this teenager. And just being like, yeah, we're fucking awesome adventurers. Look at all these fucking weapons. We're fucking sick. Meanwhile, Joe, has plotted, and again, has told me before this specific session, he's like, hey, Matt, so I want to eventually, I got this plane shift spell because we just leveled up. I really want to take the gang to go meet my patron now. I think it's time. Like, okay. All right, man, no problem. Let me just run this session. Give me a week. I'll come up with some adventure ideas, and then I'll let you know. As we all remember, that did not happen.
That did not happen.
So Joe pulls, the Bill Murray wizard aside and was like, "Hey, man, I want to play a joke. I want to play a great joke on the party. Can you help me out? Just get everybody to hold their hands together." And so the Bill Murray wizard is like, "All right, I see what you're putting down. I got you." And so I forgot if the players were like drinking or smoking, but basically they were all like basically intoxicated and partying it up. And meanwhile, this teenager's like, "Fucking you guys, why are you guys partying? I'm a teen." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're like 100 or something, right? You're fine.
You're fine.
You can still hang. You can still hang with us." And the kid's like, So
you just don't understand, man.
Hey, don't understand. Gee. And Nano managed to get everybody to hold hands. Go cast plane shift. They all failed, And I don't think anybody failed. Now that I'm looking through my notes, I think all my players were like, "Yeah, we're gonna willingly fail this spell. Whatever the spell is that Joe's doing, it's Joe. It's fine."
The regrets.
And so I'm like, I do the John Cena. Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that? Yeah.
And only one of my players started questioning it, being like, "Wait, whenever the DM asks that, that's usually something bad." It's fine. I think it's gonna be fine. Don't worry.
Nah, it's fine.
And so they end up being transported to basically the edge of the far realm. Because Joe's patron originally was because Joe was a shadow sorcerer at first, and then became a great old one. I basically made him like basically a shadow great old one fucking thing. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know. Fuck it. I'm like, damn it, Joe. Why'd you change the
Why are you like?
So they end up being summoned, and I actually took, I think, from Call of Cthulhu. I forgot what the person or creature's name is, but it's the guy in the golden robes with tentacle arms and legs. I forgot.
The Yellow King or something?
Something like that. I took that art because I thought it was cool, and I basically made this guy. I'm like, the patron's like second dude or other higher person in the, I don't know, cult question mark. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, so
you are correct though. He's called the Yellow King.
Yellow King. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had two emergent moments this episode.
You did,
Yeah.
Yes. He's a big tentacle man.
So he's like, all right, I'll take you to meet the patron. Turns out the patron, at that moment that, Joe's character plane shifted everybody there, the patron, who I basically gave his form like the Slender Man form, just so that people can comprehend like his physical being there for a moment. And Joe loved Slender Man, so I was like, here you go, Joe. For you.
Here you go, bud.
The players went and they found that the patron was having, after Joe, because I mentioned Joe's character liked baking, the patron, being enamored with the fact that this human makes tasty treats, decided to have a party where people were baking shit. But it wasn't like people, it was creatures from all sorts of different dimensions. So there was some mind flayers there was some Nalfishnay there was a bunch of different devils and demons and all these other creatures. And then my players just rocked up to this party, being like, "What? Is that Nalfishnay wearing an apron? What is happening?"
Is he making Jello shots?
Is that bookshelf full of cookbooks? And it's also made of eyeballs? So my players were getting like, weirded out. The patron met the party, and
hey, yo, are those rainbow cookies?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, oh shit.
Ooh.
And they kept like getting like, infinitely like, Adam, like, all right, you feel. I'm like, you feel like something slipping within you as you're standing in this guy's presence, and they're like, all right, Matt, we need to get the. I'm like, they're like, guys, we need to leave. I think something's bad is gonna happen if we stay any longer. So they meet the patron, they go, and as they're leaving, that is when I have, and this is again another big regrets, and I guess I'll leave it with this. As they're leaving, and they're like, well, Joe, you know what? We're really upset with you right now that this happened, but you know what? It turned out to be an interesting night. So if you can just plane shift us the fuck back home, we'll just call it square. Just like, okay, I just need to wait, I just need to wait 24 hours to get my my spell slot back. They're like, what? Like, what, Joe? He's like, yeah, I'm a guys, I'm a warlock now. I don't just get my spell slots back on a short rest, like, or at least that high of a spell shot. Like, come on. Like, but spell slot. And they're like, Joe,
but he would get them back on a
not the Mystic Arcanums.
Oh.
I think those are long rest ones. So he's like, so they're like, yo, what the fuck are we gonna do? We're in the Joe, I'm going insane just standing here. We need to leave. And that's when I had the seer, basically he had I think I actually the guy, the Yellow King, I actually gave him the seer stat block from Tome of Foes, the Star Spawn Seer. Crazy stat block. And I basically had him do like a Mind Flare blast to my players. And all of them failed the saving throw.
Oh.
And except for Ragnar, Barbarian. And so the what ended up happening was they failed the saving throw, which apparently just knocked them unconscious. So the seer, the king in yellow, I'm just gonna keep calling him the seer because that's what it was. He basically had, after he knocked the players out, he basically sent them floating through the astral sea, and was like, "Now you'll just drift off and die." Do the bad guy thing. I was like, I'm just gonna assume they died and don't have to pay attention to it. It's fine. Just. And so as he throws all the players into space, Ragnar is trying to fight.
Didn't they just have a bakery party with him?
Yeah. No, they had a bakery party with the patron.
Oh.
Seer, the guy, the king in yellow, was he was like a lieutenant or second in command, like an underling, like cultist dude of Joe's patron. And he didn't like the fact that Joe, this humans, was upstarting him, and now he's teaching his deity about baking and like all this other fucking human shit.
They want to take Joe out of the picture. About an apple pie.
Yeah. So he decided to try and kill the players. Ragnar somehow survived, and as the players' bodies are hurtling through space, he basically had a choice of, do I try and kill the seer, or do I try and collect my friends' bodies before they fucking disappear throughout space, and I lose them. And so, in order to anchor himself to get to the players, he had to tie a spear to a rope, and then use that as an anchor on one of the players. He chose the NPC Chad Elfington, who also got plane shifted with the party, the teenage elf, and it was a crit. And so he just murdered the shit out of Chad Elfington.
Wait, why did he? What?
So the players
saying he stabbed him with the spear?
He basically so imagine Ragnar's a couple he's like, the players are all unconscious, floating in space, and they're basically floating away. Ragnar is still still awake and basically just watching us from a distance, and he's like, I can't reach them. I have to find some way to anchor myself to them. So he basically was like, let me tie a rope to them.
He threw a spear through him.
Yep.
He
threw a spear and basically managed to use the spear, use the rope to climb to get to the party. He got them all together, but that's when a Githyanki pirate ship came, and basically all the players' unconscious bodies landed on the ship, except for Ragnar, who was awake, and Chad Elfington, who was dead.
Who is dead? And Chad Elfington, who is dead.
Who was dead?
Yeah, and I'll leave it that as part one of the
Part
great
two?
joke.
I can't with this
The
animal
great
behavior.
joke.
This is like ridiculous.
Part one of the part two. What
Part two of the whole campaign.
Part one of the great joke.
Marvelous Misadventures of Matt. Part two. Part one of the great joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think? You know, so far, like any thoughts? Like,
I already knew
I'm
about
glad
the-
I'm here for the ride.
I mean, I already knew about the great joke. We all did, but hearing it again, it's still funny,
In great detail.
still hilarious.
I think is
it's not even done yet.
I know.
It's just insane. I find myself lacking the words.
Yeah.
When the
After-
second it's like, and then they did this, and you're like, I don't, but what?
and
But
then
why?
they did this.
And then they let the mind flare loose, but why?
yeah, no, that was a good maneuver. And what if we just let the mind flare out, guys? I don't think
any problems,
I
guys.
don't think this is gonna go the way you're hoping it's gonna go.
This isn't going to cause any major problems in the world.
This is.
Oh,
I usually have to ask my dad this question, but I'm just like, why are you like this?
Also,
Why do you do the things
Man.
you do?
I love the plan too. It's like, all right, so we unleash the deadly mind flare. How do we deal with this problem? Deadlier Afridi. Problem solved.
Yeah,
I'm sure that
I
won't
see this
come
as
back.
I'll do it.
absolute win.
Yeah.
The
Couldn't
King
go wrong.
Kong thing. It's like let them fight.
Yeah, let them.
Pretty much. Oh fuck.
Fantastic.
Also
Still
just
plenty to go for the.
casually trolling a wizard with caltrops is
Oh, funny.
Too good.
so unnecessary.
For the record, if Joe's players, if you're listening to this and you feel attacked because we're clowning on you, first of all, we are clowning on you. Second of all, don't feel attacked. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, no. Looking back, it's I do because I had a talk with them after the whole blast from the seer, and they were like, "All right, Matt, like we feel like that was like a rocks fall moment where we didn't have like any kind of say in that, or like." And I was like, well,
a little bit.
I'm like a little bit, but also that was kind of like the point. It was like a surprise attack.
Well,
And
also, this is the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
A little bit of that.
And I did give, and the thing was, I know I gave him a save, but it was an intelligence save. That was the big thing. None of my players are proficient. So I'm like, this is high. I'm like, but you guys can succeed on this. And the barbarian did.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. I mean, the fucking wizard has proficiency and he didn't
That's
do
where
it.
you gotta hit it with it. If he can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was so surprised. I was like, okay. And I'm like, the fact that Ragnar made it out and then unfortunately killed Chad Alfington, it's just happens.
Wait, okay. I must admit, who is this character?
This was a random. So when they went to the monastery, they met the the leader of the monastery was the orc guy. I didn't fucking mention him. I mentioned him like super briefly. Sorry. And when they were there, they met the shadow. The orc guy was like, "Hey, all right, Chad Elfington, you show these guys around, or get them to their rooms, take care of them, all this stuff. I have to go deal with being the leader of a monastery nonsense for a minute." So Chad Elfington was like their NPC guide through the monastery for a little bit, and then the players were like kind of like joking with him, and they're like, "All right, let's get fucking crunk with the emo teenager elf."
Okay.
Yeah. So throughout the whole time in the fucking like when they got to the Far Realm, meeting Joe's patron, he was basically just shitting bricks the entire time, being like, I am so above, like I'm so out of my league right now. I'm just training to do shit like this. I'm not even prepared. Why am I here? Why did you do this to me? And basically dropped the whole like goth phase and immediately went into the shit bricks phase.
And then he was murdered horribly.
And then he was murdered horribly. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, and then the barbarian spear.
Yep. any other closing thoughts before we wrap up this episode? Part two of Matt's.
Or you make me go hee hee ha ha.
Yes, thank you.
Story make me.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I
thanks.
got nothing else. I just think about how I'm about to be 3 years in, and my players are still only level 12.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah. In my defense, they talked their way out of most of the problems. So
That's good, at least.
combat XP is not as plentiful as it otherwise could have been. But also, I've finally given, and I'm probably gonna level skip them once the arc ends.
Yeah, that's another thing. When I'm done, like, reciting like everything of the campaign, I do have a bunch of things that I do want to like say of like everything. What did I learn through doing all lessons learned? That is one of them, of pacing, and like just if you're doing, which I'm not even following my own advice on this because I'm literally doing the Strixhaven 1 to 20 again without skipping levels. But if you're doing a home game and you want to go from level 1 to 20, just skip the levels. Players aren't going to mind. In fact, the players might like it more because they're getting 2 levels up now instead of just 1. But yeah, that is a big thing that I wish more D&D home games did, or people would follow the advice, or like, I know Josh, like you and I talk about Shadow of the Demon Prince or Demon Lord, sorry. I love the idea of like D&D games going like, the max level is like 1 to 10. Like, I feel like that feels better in my mind. Or like a 1 to 10 leveling system rather than 1 to 20, and no one ever plays level 20 because who the fuck play, like.
I'm not gonna get into this right now because the whole thing.
No,
but,
I know.
The point is not everyone gets really focused on the level number. That is not what the problem is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I just, just that as just something just spitballing on top of skip levels if you're homebrewing.
Yeah, I mean, yes, skip levels because the game pace is not well designed. Better off skip.
Yeah, that's a wrap for this episode. Yeah, thank you everybody for. Damn it, Josh. But yes, thank you guys for listening to this episode. I hope you're enjoying Matt's crazy shenanigan campaign with his goofy gang of players. Again, this is the players I have at this point in the game. The great joke. This is the main group, except for Paladin, who will eventually
eject shortly after this.
Yes. But yeah, thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on their podcast platform of choice, and yeah, give Josh that birthday follow on Twitter.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
All right, goodbye, y'all.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Later.